Makes perfect sense.
Absolutely, man. Well, we are live. Welcome, everybody, to Fun Speculation Podcast. It is Thursday, March the 5th. A little bit of a late start tonight. Sorry about that. Just got home, had to get things set up, and we are ready to rock and roll. And we got the one and only Fuzzy Belvedere joining. How's it going, Fuzz?
Oh, it's going great. Just been watching Twitter and the I guess the PlayStation Nation cheering on the pulling back from PC, which I still have my doubts because they're still
Yeah.
advertising controllers, headsets, and monitors and whatnot. But
I'm not
we'll see
100%
how
sold
that
on that
goes.
either, Fuzz. We'll talk a little bit more about that for sure.
And then Xbox gave us a project name, so hopefully we get to see this thing. I guess they're going to talk about it a little bit at
Yeah.
GDC, but hopefully we get to see like an in-depth either in the June showcase or let's say by Game Awards later this year. So we'll see how that goes. But man, glad to be here with you. A lot to talk about.
Yeah,
We
man.
have an interesting show today.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I got some heat for some people that are I think just got slapped in the face today after what was it last week when Jez had that interview with Asha Sharma?
Mhm.
Um and then people were all like, "Oh, he's just a PR tool being used because of this parasocial relationship between Xbox and this is a new trend word going around with the Xbox community to dismiss people is parasocial toxicity and parasocial relationships and people like to try and like use these like taglines and words and phrases to try and diminish people that have actually been doing really good work for a long time. Yes, granted, not everything that these companies and executives tell people in the community is true, right? Not all the rumors come out to be real. Not all of the insiders end up, giving the accurate information, all this other kind of stuff. But that's true across the board with all brands. So we'll see how that Schreier one holds up. Because it's interesting coincidence the timing of that, don't you think?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Don't
definitely.
I mean, who's being used more in that sense? Remember, like Schreier had. So what I'm referring to, those that are in the blue on this, and I was gonna wait to get into this, but this is what I already made a tweet about it. Schreier had actually been like I think it was on a podcast or something talking to somebody who and they were talking about I think PlayStation might be pulling away from PC games or they're putting their single player games on PC and then Schreier's like, oh, it's not a rumor. Yeah, I have an article coming up, right? So had been teasing this for like a few days leading up to this. And this was also a rumor that had started, what was it, late last year at some point. And then it was contradicted by many also other people in the games media that said that that's not what they heard. Well, like supposedly, like Sure came out with this article and they had canceled two of the PC port projects, and that's what's happening with PlayStation right now. And it's like, oh, the inside scoop, insider, unnamed source who wants to be remained anonymous. They're pulling away from PC games and maybe it's because of these reasons, possibly damaging the brand. They're not seeing enough from that to justify it. Blah blah blah. All these things or whatever, right? And it's like, first off, I think it's a step back for just consumers and gamers in general. Like, despite the what I'm actually referring to, I just in general, I think it doesn't benefit anybody, right? The only potential benefit is actually PlayStation. If they're conceding potential gains in the PC market, they got to make up for it in the console space, right? So if they are doing that and they're using those single player games to enhance their console ecosystems, trying to move even more units, make you feel the necessity to have a console even more, well, that still limits the amount of growth possibility that they have. And if they're doing that, especially after canceling all the other games of service that they were canceling and all this other stuff, if they're going that route, well, that just ties into the fact that the ecosystem is more closed, it is more secluded, and they will probably end up raising prices on those games even more. And you'll probably end up seeing more remasters and remakes, re-releases of these same kinds of games or past games to make up the difference. And you might see other junk projects like Sons of Sparta utilizing the IP that are made for a dime and sold for way more than what they're actually worth just because of the IP name behind them, right? So you'll see a lot of stuff like that being utilized to make up for the not growing the market outside of the console space. Consoles will probably also continue to go up, as well as like I said, the games. So anybody celebrating the fact that you feel more special because other people can't get to play the games in a better way, even, then you actually are condemning yourselves to the future possibility of PlayStation actually becoming Nintendo and riding that model. Games never going on discount hardly at all, not being in the subscription services, raising prices, all of these kind of things. Remember, the PC market is one of the reasons why they ended up actually dropping some of the prices down on the games when they did these remasters and stuff, because they had to actually be a little bit more competitive in the PC space. It brings competition. That's good for us as consumers, right? So despite that, people are championing for it. Whatever. You like exclusives because you feel special. It's already been reported by many that it hasn't hurt their sales in console space already. It wasn't going to. They were already making good money on those games, even though they weren't selling like bonkers because they're releasing them like 2 years after they came out originally. The cost of actually porting them over is not very high. So, for whatever reason, and I know the reason, they are reportedly doing that, or at least saying they are right now, which they have lied in the past about things they were doing many times, and then the generation came out and they ended up doing the opposite. However, what I wanted to get to about that was when Jez had his first interview about with Asha Sharma, the Xbox executive. Many either in the gaming community or other even games media and also content creators, you can call kind of funny media. You can call them content creator. I don't know what you want to call them. They're kind of in between those worlds a little bit, right? I'll say new age media content creation style thing. Most of them came from IGN, right? So within kind of funny, you had Blessing call out Jez, for which he since apologized, kinda. You had Christopher Dring take a shot at the article, saying basically like when they say nothing at all. Anyway, it was a fine interviews, whatever. It was kind of like an introduction kind of thing, just some questions given a short amount of time. Thought it was fine, right? Jez got what he could with what he was allowed, and I think the rest of the games media was jealous. However, we have now this. One of the people that Blessing actually said, hey, you have people like Schreier out there. You should actually get him. Well, Schreier came out with this article talking about these PC ports no longer going to be happening on the single player games from PlayStation. Um, and that came out, like 2 days ago, I think. And then, coincidence. Just so what happens 2 days later? Project Helix is actually officially announced by Asha Sharma on social media, leading up to GDC, announcing that it will be at GDC, and they'll be talking about it at GDC anyway, and that hey, it will play Xbox and PC games. How convenient! Now imagine the world where that report from Schreier didn't come out, and then we have the announcement from Asha Sharma that this next Xbox console, as she calls it, will play Xbox and PC games. A lot of the conversation today would be very different, wouldn't it? A lot of the
Yeah.
conversation today would be very, very different, wouldn't it? Absolutely would. So ask yourself this. Was Jason Schreier being utilized from somebody within PlayStation as a tool to get ahead of the Xbox announcement of Project Helix? Was that not him being utilized as PR marketing so that way, oh, this potentially doesn't damage the PlayStation brand by getting ahead of the announcement of Project Helix? Think about it. If you think Jazz is being utilized as a tool just for asking questions and getting some generic kind of PR answers, then you got to think what is being more utilized as a tool of actual something that has implications on people's mindsets around gaming is something like the Jason Schreier report that came out, what, 2 days before this announcement. That is very convenient. That is very convenient. He has taken many shots at Xbox numerous times in the past. Had articles. He's actually went after creators of Xbox and animators in the past, or not got after them. He's utilized their mistranslated words from Chinese interviews, and order to utilize selling his book about the problems with game development. Not ever even asking that developer any questions directly. I remember that very specifically. Anyway,
Yeah.
Jason Schreier is a tool. I always thought he was a tool, but he's actually being utilized as a tool way more than Jez Corden was. Just putting that out
Oh,
there
yeah.
to Blessing and anybody else that saw what's transpired over the last 2 days. Fuzzy Belver, you got any thoughts on that?
The whole thing about the softball questions, I'm waiting for when they do, if they ever do get the chance to, as far as kind of funny that is, it's a chance to talk to Asha and see how hardball of a question they toss at her type of thing. Um, w- just from like on PTK Blam show when we had one of the marketing guys come on years ago, you have to run the questions that you're looking to talk about through their PR group. And there's some that they'll say, well, we can't, talk about this, or they'll like basically go through like an approval process. Um, and that's like standard procedure on any type of, whether it's a podcast or one of these, news outlets. A lot of times you have to run your script through them prior to getting certain executives on a show kind of deal. And there are certain topics that they'll say are off limits. They'll say there are certain topics that they want to promote or push, and you kind of give them that leeway. And if you don't, you can basically guarantee that you'll never get another opportunity through their PR group kind of thing. So it was ironic to me when he was saying all this to basically set himself up for failure if he ever does get to talk to Asha. But outside of that, I don't understand why. I guess people don't necessarily see it always when these news outlets are being utilized for, marketing and promotioning and things along those lines. Like, to some extent, that's the whole reason why they interact. And it ties into kind of like what you touched on before about the whole parasocial stuff. It's like they interact with the community because that's part of the goodwill of the customer base. If if you see an interaction from a company that feels genuine and has a product that you're interested in, you're more likely to buy from that company and such. But Yeah, when it comes to these interviews and things along those lines, I just don't understand why people like taking shots at Jez. You can agree to disagree with him on some stuff, but for the most part, I would say of any journalist out there, he seems the most fair and balanced. Now, there are times where he'll fanboy out when it comes to something like World of Warcraft or something along those lines, but outside of that, he at least gets feedback from the community, because a lot of times he'll ask, hey, what would you like to see, or what would you want to hear from XYZ executive at Xbox and stuff. And then he'll take those along with questions he's priority had, as well as what would be pertinent to what's going on with the Xbox division. So yeah, kudos to him. But I just saw it as either jealousy or some sort of envy. I just don't understand. And Ring has done that a couple of times, and then he goes and deletes the post. It's like, at least have the balls to keep the post out there. Like, if you're going to be salty about something, leave it out there. Just put it out there, leave it out there. Don't tuck your tail and then delete it. Like, oh, I didn't mean to say that. Well, no, you meant to say it in the moment, kind of thing.
Or
And
make
then
a
you can
post about why you
figure out how
deleted
you
it
walk
instead
around
of,
it.
you
Yeah.
know, make a post about why you deleted it and what you did instead of like just letting it disappear from the ether. You know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
way you can pretend like it didn't exist. Like I do that when I like with my fat thumbs, and I mistype all the time on Twitter, and I like either like a
Mhm.
word is completely different than what I had actually wrote because like the autocorrect changed it or whatever. Then I see the tweet and I kind of like look it back. I'm like, oh shit, that don't make no sense. So I either like gotta go and like okay leave a comment on my own thing with like this is what I was trying to say, or just fucking delete it and repost it.
Mhm.
But like to like just have something blow up like that, and then just delete it and pretend like it was gone, I'm not gonna say I never deleted shit. I'd like, was like, oh shit. I didn't either that came across wrong, or I didn't mean to say how I said something because like it reads different than what I'm trying to, you know what I mean? I've done that stuff before, but this was like clearly something that blew up in his face, and then he's like trying to get rid of it. So anyway, it's like it's strange, the energy, that I had that Mavcast where I talked about the media jealousy over Jez's like interview. And this kind of like also goes into the past few years. I mean, I'd say the last like 5 years or so. Since we started this channel, I've really noticed a lot about the energy from people at some of the big games media sites towards podcasters, creators, fans of platforms. Right? It's like they hate them.
Yeah.
It's like it comes across that they hate them. The way they interact, they call it cringy, all these other kind of things, and it's like they're talking to the biggest fans of gaming out there is when they're what they're doing. So basically, like games media just hates gaming fans, and this is part of the reason why they're out of touch with gaming community a lot of times and what people want. And I think it's easy for okay, like I don't necessarily blame Schreier for writing the article because if he has somebody from PlayStation telling him that, but what I would say to people is don't hold somebody like Schreier above somebody like Jez because he's still subject to the same misinformation or being utilized in these ways Christopher Dring was in the past. Even something else he did, speaking of him, this is after the fact. He and I think Special Nick called him out on this because he just like made a post. Oh, look what I found in this box randomly that I was going through. It's my interview with Phil Spencer as the first interview he did in Europe as the head of Xbox from 2014. Oh wow, how did I happen to find this all of a sudden? Look at my first interview I did with Phil Spencer. Look at that tweet. And Special Nick called him out on it. He's like, "Oh, I just stumbled upon it going through boxes." Like, yeah, right,
Mhm.
motherfucker. So I actually went back and dug up on the internet and found his old interview with Phil Spencer. And it was just full of, it's like the same fucking thing as Jez's interview.
Mhm.
So people to call out other games media for the information that they're given or being told, and then they go and they utilize it, they run with it because that's what they're gonna do. Not one is above the other, right?
Yeah.
They're all doing the same job. They all have the same agenda to get traffic to their site. They all want to be first. They all want the same things. They all want to get information out to the public. The difference with Jez as opposed to some of these other people is that he actually admits to have a preference. As opposed to these others, you can actually fucking tell. It's obvious 100% of the time, but they will just
Mhm.
outright lie to your faces and say they're unbiased and completely objective and they don't have a preference on how. It just comes across like, and other people, the way they cover things, like, oh, the Xbox is the one that's been, the brand's been damaged, the brand's been doing this. This is why they're treated differently than blah 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 blah. Like people like Nib and bullshit like that are always trying to like write some kind of fucking thesis on the fucking game industry, pointing Microsoft and Xbox in a negative light. It's like comes across so fucking cringy that you put that much energy into something trying to dismiss a community and a platform and an ecosystem that exists, saying that basically it shouldn't and that everything is wrong. They've been doing this for years. And the second they make a change and actually announce a new CEO and shake up a leadership, Tom Warren writes an article and about stuff that he was told, no different than Jason Schreier, no different than any of these other reporters, and then all of a sudden it's a hit piece about Sarah Bond. Well, these same people that have been saying a lot of that stuff have been saying that she was doing a shitty job at Xbox and have been calling for change, and they were against, and they still are doing it. They're saying Xbox been making mistakes, they've been damaging the brand, they've been doing this, they've been changing this, they've been changing that, and they called for Phil Spencer and leadership gone at Xbox for years and years and years. Now it happens, and they want to protect her because of another journalist that wrote an article about other things that were said. Regardless, I they're all these reporters are just reporting on the shit that they're told, right?
Mhm.
How you see that, how you frame it, or whatever is always going to be utilized as an agenda from the person's bias that they're talking from on Twitter and social media. They'll all see the same thing in two different ways, right, or a million different ways actually, depending on what their own biases are. Like at the end of the day, either these people hate Xbox or they actually want them to exist. And I think we can see the writing on the wall with a lot of these people on social media and in games media, for that matter. So anyway, it's just the reality of the situation. I don't know who. I will say this. For anybody that is thinking liking this positivity right now, going with Xbox and the announcement of Project Helix. Project Helix was Sarah Bond's baby, right? Like so, when this comes to fruition, if it is a success, it is a success. It is a hit. It does take off. Retroactively, we will need to give her some credit for this in that direction that everybody hated for a
Yeah.
couple of years. Even though you saw it as brand damaging, all these other kind of things, and all this other kind of stuff because of exclusivity and all of that stuff. When this device comes out, if you love this device and you're excited about everything it has to offer, and you choose to be all in on this thing, then retroactively you also have to give Sarah Bond credit because this was her idea for the console space, and PC hybrid box, whatever you want to call it, for this next generation of Xbox. So it'll be interesting to see what gets announced and what gets talked about this week, Fuzzy. I
Yeah.
think I think one thing that they're going to talk about mainly is this idea of like creating the game once and it working across Xbox and PC and all the different devices and all that kind of stuff. Um, So, I mean, do you expect? I'm already seeing semantics as well, Fuzz. That Keeley refuses to call it a console, even though Xbox called it a console. Like Keeley's post, PC hardware device is what he called it instead of console, even though Xbox's announcement said console. So you can see some things going on there as well. The usual suspects, everybody, the usual suspects. But what do you expect them to talk about this week with it? I mean, I don't think we're going to see it yet, but
Yeah.
kind of
I
the
think
development stuff.
Mhm. Well, for development stuff, I think the big thing is kind of like what you touched on as far as, one code to kind of rule them all kind of thing. So that way it works on, the consoles as well as PCs without, this separation that they've had over the years where it was kind of like a limiting factor on the console space or on the console side of things. Some of the coding is identical, but a lot of the certification stuff is some of the back end stuff as far as access, root stuff, menu stuff sometimes, limiting the access to, uh, I forget what they call it, like the dev, not the dev menu, but like something along those lines where you can adjust all the settings and stuff. So I think that's something that they'll talk about how, you know, you get the dev kit, you're making it for Xbox across the board kind of deal. I think the other thing that they're going to talk about are possibly some advantage features that you'll see, like quick resume. I expect them to carry that through. But
Mm-hmm.
I also expect, like, with the synchronization that they have, where a lot of your saves are in the cloud for free, kind of deal. The transition from having, like, let's say your Xbox Ally coming to the house, you were playing the game, you set it down, you pick up the game on your Xbox Helix, and it's able to pick up to the second where you were left off on your Xbox Ally type of deal. So I think they'll possibly show us some of that, as well as maybe that more universal UI. Like we've seen a lot of updates to the Xbox app on PC. We've seen some iteration changes for insiders for the Xbox Ally, adding some of those AI features and things. I think we might see what that would look like on this next box in the sense of, you know, whether it's helping you through a tough part or if it's able to find, tips and pointers of how to beat this particular boss. I think you might see some of that stuff as well. Because I have to believe they're going to have some sort of NPU in this thing that will, take care of some of those AI features and stuff. But I'm hoping they show how it upreses and improves the frames for older games, so they don't even need to go through the catalog and do the auto HDR or the 60 FPS and stuff. They'll automatically do it through the power of the chipset. So we'll see if that device can brute force any previous title that you own digitally that way. Then I guess the other thing is going to be if it is going to be a digital only device, or if it's one of those things where you'd have to get like a disc accessory. Although I don't know if they'll go quite that far because that's not really dev related. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping we at least find out some of that, and maybe we see like a footprint size of what that dev kit looks like. Because if the dev kit looks like, let's say, like almost like the Xbox One X size type of thing, what we might see in final production might be a bit smaller, almost like the Steam Deck or Steam Machine Cube thing. So it'll be interesting to see what they show. But I think UI, some of the key features like your quick resumes and things like that, maybe an auto FPS type of deal for older titles, and what it takes for developers to make it easier for them to port games to the Xbox platform, whether it's from 2 generations ago that was only on PS4 and Switch, to stuff that was only on PC, maybe a few years ago that will be able to play on this device as well without or with minimal changes and things like that.
Yeah, it'll be man. I this has been like we've talked about it for a while, Fuzz, but like the most interesting thing with gaming is like because we've never seen a device like what they're going to release with the within the space, one that plays your console games, but then also going to have access to the whole PC store. And how are they going to do that? And I think that's what we learn this week is about like the utilization of the hardware, but also just being able to have the games work across all platforms, right? And how that's going to work with our existing libraries. And that's been the main thing because like, it's not just a PC, it's like really going to be a console and a PC. And I think they'll go into backwards compatibility, about how that's going to work. I think they'll go and talk about game preservation kind of things. I think they're going to talk about ease of development and access to more gamers. Um, and it's like really you can kind of see the parallel in the messaging right now with, even though that is not an official report from Schreier, it's like a rumor leak or something. Um, PlayStation's messaging still PlayStation special, get special experiences only here, right? And then Xbox is like still messaging, bringing out games to more people, you know, um, and reaching a wider audience. So now we can argue with back and forth over which direction is right, you know. But I will say that Xbox has not succeeded in the PlayStation direction since the 360 generation, and a lot of people want them to go back to that. This device is not going to be that. Like in order for them to really go back from that, they would have to take those games off of PC also, because a lot of Xbox enthusiasts have migrated to PC, and because I guess like just gonna say it, the game, if you have a good PC, the games play better across the board. So if you're sitting there and you have a place where you play like to play your games and stuff, like you're getting a better experience for the most part. It comes with some more headaches, so it depends on who if you, and also higher cost. Um, but I am curious about the entry point into Helix, like what the cost is going to be, with this kind of device as well. So, because I mean, think about 3 years from now, Fuzz. We're gonna be in a world where Steam machines are out there and selling, and people are hooking those up to their TVs. You'll have your PS6 eventually come out. You'll have your Switch 2s, and then you'll have your Helix device. Um, so there's still competition for that TV space. It's just everybody's doing it differently. Everybody's doing it differently. And man, I gotta say, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, like I think the big thing with each one of them kind of doing things a little bit different, it keeps each one exciting in its own way. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
No, but for the most part, it keeps everything exciting for each platform. So that way, if you do choose to partake in all of them, you have something to look forward to, whether it's the portability with Nintendo and their more classic style games, PlayStation, if they ever get back to getting into their cadence of single player movie experience type games, that would be, I guess, their key thing if they're pulling back from PC. And then with Xbox, the thing I've like from coming from PlayStation, beginning of the PS4 era, the biggest thing I've noticed about Xbox is co-op and multiplayer games and the community that's involved in it versus the PlayStation community, which I think I've told people about this before, where playing Destiny on PlayStation, it was a terrible experience. Like outside of like your own friend group from work or local friends that if you're trying to play a game and have to do like with randoms, none of them had headsets. It's like I know they came with like the little chiplet mic type of earbud thing, but like I'm up there fighting enemies and everybody's just going past them to get to the boss kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe it was a me issue at that point. I don't know, but it felt terrible. And then playing Division on Xbox, it was like Yeah, I still have friends from that, back when Division first came out that I still play Division with. So it's a little bit of a different feel as far as when you're looking forward to games. Like community is huge, I think, for Xbox. I think co-op, they make more co-op experiences, which, other than like third party, that's pretty much all you're going to get as far as when it comes to PlayStation. They don't really do co-op. The closest things were the add-on content that they did for Ghost of Tsushima, as far as more recently. And I guess you could do, or you could say co-op for that new God of War game, but you got to
Mm-hmm.
beat it before it unlocks the co-op kind of thing. So yeah, they're not really, I guess, into the co-op scene, but things like Stay of Decay 2. Yeah. Perfect as far as like with the way they have co-op and stuff like that. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm looking forward to how each one of them chooses their own lane.
Yeah, for sure, man. I feel like PlayStation, like, people just don't play games together as much. Like the I I have like, how they did the whole patent for like the thing that'll play the game for you. You know, I could see like them using like AI to like have like a fake friend to play games with. It's like I don't know. We'll call him Astro Bot AI buddy or something, and then like, hey, I'm gonna message my fake friend and see if he'll hop on and play this game with me. And they're like, hello, my name's Pony123. Thanks for choosing me. Let's go play some marathon, marathon. Um, I like I don't know. This world's crazy right now with AI, bro. Um, I made a post yesterday. It's scary, scary shit. If people have a chance to go read through this post I made about AI yesterday, I was asking randomly. I just went in and asked Grok some questions, you know, and the answers are like, it's like one of them is AI a threat to humanity? He's like, yes. And I was like, is AI being utilized to spread misinformation about the war? Yes. you know? And it's like, I said, Grok, are you being used to spread misinformation? And he said, not intentionally. Like, I'm like, oh my God, we're all fucked, man. We are all fucked. We have no idea what's real anymore. Um, but yeah, Project Helix was a cool announcement, man. I gotta also give her a little bit of credit to Asha Sharma's post about it. It is kind of a strange way to announce something so big. I think they're just trying to get ahead of it for GDC, but it's not a lot of fluff or anything in there. It's just clear and concise and just like announcing the next gen. Well, let me see exactly what she said because I don't want to get it wrong. Um, let's see. She said, "Great start to the morning with Team Xbox, where we talked about our commitment to the return of Xbox, including Project Helix, the code name for our next generation console. Project Helix will lead in performance and play your Xbox and PC games. Looking forward to chatting about this more with partners and studios at my first GDC next week." And then she included the logo there. So, like, it's just kind of like, hey, we're announcing Project Helix. It's going to lead in performance. Play your Xbox and PC games. It's like, not a lot of fluff. Doesn't give too much. Just kind of piques our interest. It gets us excited about something new, but also tells us what it's going to do. It's just very clear, concise messaging, not too much other BS blown in there. You know what I mean? Like, the most ever with this, you know what I mean? Like shit like that. Like it's gonna change gaming forever. Like or what? It's just like lead in performance. We'll play your Xbox and PC games. Oh, thanks. Now I know what to expect. As a consumer, that's easy for the dumbasses out there to understand. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, one, two, three. easy to receive. So I thought I liked that clear messaging kind of style that she has. I think that's a good change up. And hopefully that permeates to the rest of the marketing teams there at Xbox, which she's already made a couple hires for. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. But what do you think of the name, Fuzz?
I like it. I mean, Helix, it's like an intertwine type of deal, and the
Yeah,
fact that it's going to be a PC and console, and those two things are intertwined, it kind of makes sense. Um, I like it better than them trying to do like the SX or like adding a number to it or anything like that. So if by chance if this actually makes it to the final product name, which they haven't been the greatest on it, although our Xbox One X's were or it had like the Project Scorpio edition at launch type of thing. So maybe they'll do a Project Helix of whatever they choose to name it. But I think they should stick with that name. I mean, the only other one that I kind of like was the one I was saying, before anything was announced was uh what was it? NE or the letter N or capital N lowercase e, and then Xbox. Basically, it's the next Xbox,
yeah,
and it plays NE or ANY, any Xbox game kind of thing. So it was kind of like a play on words type
yeah,
of
yeah,
deal.
yeah.
But I think Helix is a better way to go.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. Like the history of Xbox has told us that they don't use their code names, unfortunately, for the actual boxes. I
Yeah,
hope that changes with this, man, because like, man, they got the they I got to give them credit. They come up with the most badass code names for their
yeah,
projects that actually listed excitement and stuff. That Scorpio,
mhm,
Magnus, like now you have fucking Helix, right? That comes along
mhm.
with the logo for it that like was very Xbox fitting too because it's in the shape of an X. So I could see that being the splash screen. I could see it, Xbox Helix when it comes out. Um, and I think that's fine. What would y'all think if they chat? Should they keep the name Helix for the actual box? I'm gonna do a poll. And shout out to the chat. Should the official name be Helix? Not to be confused with Felix the cat. Fuzzy. Um, yeah, so I put that poll up there. And shout out to the chat. Shout out to Poison Maniac, Fuzzy Tomato, Il Rey Tito, C. de Bravos, Luis Jose, Prince Green, Mr. Waffles. Let's see. The game adaptation newscast. Let's see. We got Buzz in here. Back from Dead's in here. Ron Slusher. Um, in here. It says Project Helix is a subscription based cloud PC, calling it now. I don't think so. I don't think so. That would be disappointing. I think it's going to be a high end because like the lead in performance and stuff. That I mean, you wouldn't just make it like a cloud only kind of device. Like you got to have that native infrastructure in there, and plus we already know about all the Magnus chips and all that kind of stuff. So it wouldn't really make any sense for that to be the case. Now, could improved cloud functionality be part of what they're doing? Absolutely, because they keep improving on it anyway. Um, Razor Ultra says, "Mav, get out of your phone and read my member chat." I had some work stuff happening, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me get up to your member chat. I will read it right now. Razor Ultron, member for 11 months, says Sony's so afraid of Xbox they quit a revenue stream. Yeah, they also basically have chosen in a massively growing market, which the PC is, as well as cloud. Those are two growing markets, right? Console isn't really growing. We're selling to the same market and about the same numbers every generation, roughly. So with the console space not growing, they're missing the opportunity to create new fans of their franchises and this was the same argument we had with like Square Enix when they're making all the Final Fantasy games exclusive. You're missing out on the chance to have these communities that aren't playing your games right now to fall in love with them. And maybe it starts small at first, but then the sequel comes out and you get more excited, and then you know what I mean, you're kind of establishing something with a new player base. And yeah, that can take time, right? But unless you start, you're never going to reap the rewards of it. And they started, and now they're if they again, we don't know if it's true 100%. Conflicting reports out there. Hip Hop Gamer says it's bullshit. Right now, I will give Hip Hop Gamer credit. He was the first one to actually talk about hybrid Xbox PC. And I remember I was a guest on Iron Lords like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, and he would happen to be on there, and he was like talking. I remember he's like, "Y'all don't know what's coming for Xbox." He's like, "Y'all just wait." Like he's like, I mean, he was excited, and after the show was over, he kind of like was talking a little bit like that too, and like in the back in the green room, just saying like he can't say what it is and stuff, but like you know they got some major things coming with this, and you know he had put out there on socials about and maybe on a one of maybe on a show he was on or something, I can't remember, but he had put out there about the whole Xbox PC thing originally. So um he's one that comes with like he's in the past he's been more of a PlayStation guy, you know. I remember listening to him back when I listened to Gamertag Radio back in the day, and sometimes he would be on as a guest, and he was always kind of like the PlayStation guy that came on to Gamertag Radio, you know what I mean? But in general, like he stays excited for all of them for the most part now. Like he with his the way he comes across with things. So um, I tend to right now believe him over a Schreier report. Now, did they cancel some projects? Maybe so, right? But time will tell, right? Time will tell. Um, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, yeah, no worries, Racer. Yeah, sorry about that. Let's see, Luis Jose, where's the cats, Fuzzy? How many cats do you have now? Again?
I'm now down to four. We had
Okay.
to lay one to rest,
Oh, sorry about that,
but
bro.
you can probably hear the one I said is autistic. You can probably hear him meowing in the background at times. The two girls and the other fluffy one, my wife's primary cat, are all downstairs right now because it's feeding time. But he's the orange one's right in the room next door, and he wants me to know that he's next door because I got the room door closed, so he can't come in here. But yeah, he's a rambunctious one. But my original orange one was getting up there in age. Cancer, pretty much untreatable type of digestive cancer. So
Hmm.
yeah, but yeah, we got four of them, and they're just as rambunctious as they normally would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, when I'm on podcast, the girls come in here and they'll be in front of the camera or knocking over my Steam Deck or something along those lines.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I love animals, so if a cat wants to make a guest appearance, that's completely cool with me. Um, yeah, so there's been lots of excitement today. I mean, they said that basically it's gonna be at GDC and Jason Ronald is gonna be there. Um, I wonder if they're going to talk because Jason Ronald being there, I imagine he's gonna sit down, do some kind of interview thing where he answers some questions about it. He kind of did that last year a little bit, if I remember correctly, or the year before, but not really given too much. Um, but yeah, I think one thing we can expect is this is not going to be cheap, Fuzz. Um, and my only my only concern, or I would I don't know if it's a concern or a criticism or whatever. It can't be a criticism yet because we don't know yet. Like Dreamcast guys YouTube video thumbnail, uh, at Project or Xbox's next gen console looks horrible or something like that is what he wrote it. Like nobody's seen it yet, bro. What are you talking about? All we know is simply it's going to lead to performance supposedly, and it's going to play Xbox and PC games. That's all we know. And the guy's already running out with like this thing is horrible. Crazy. Like how obvious can you be that everything that you do is for click rage bait because you know that negativity about Xbox gets you attention, right? How obvious can you be? Another fucking. I have cringy ass thumbnails too because I'm too lazy to do what Kate does. So when she makes our thumbnails, she actually will sit there and we actually use something and the tools to. Me, I'm like I don't know what to fucking do. So I just screenshot, whatever, put it up there. But what's cringy for me is with him is like he actually spends time making his cringy on purpose.
Yeah.
Because it's like the cringier the better for his rage bait. But yeah, it's just I don't know, man. The guy's ridiculous. Nobody knows what this is, but I will say my critique or feedback would be the messaging of return to Xbox and the emphasis on the console space would be hard to achieve if the only box you have out there is $1,000 plus.
Yeah.
Because you're just limiting the amount of consumers that are going to be able to afford to buy this thing, and or the console consumers wanting to spend that much money to put something on their TV. You know what I mean? We're talking about guys that are used to spending $400, $500, $600, for a new console. So if you jump that up to $1,000, $1,100, $1,200, then we're talking about a smaller user base just based on cost alone, and you're kind of only going for the biggest enthusiast, right? Many of us are gonna buy it because we're the target, you know. But I'm talking about like people just out there. "Hey, I'm gonna get a next console thing or whatever. Hard to convince them to spend $1,100, $1,200 to put something on their TV. You know, it's much easier to convince somebody to buy a pure PC for $1,200, $1,300 on a desk as opposed to something like that. Now, if you're an Xbox enthusiast and you're interested in PC gaming as well, maybe you get that for your PC setup instead of actually a real PC. You know what I mean? I don't know. So it is kind of like this, like it's a super enthusiast machine, which I thought eventually consoles were going to go to. Um, but it flies in the face of the messaging a little bit that they have right now. Would you agree with that or no?
Yeah. I mean, and when everybody was saying that the next Xbox was going to be 1,000, 1,200 bucks, I didn't want to chime in that price range. I would top out at 800, and even that's still an extreme stretch. Yes, I understand memory and storage is going through the roof. I think for the next generation, even with all the stuff that they're going to wrap into that box, they have to have a $500 option. Now, I don't want them to have a Xbox One moment where it's like, oh, if you don't want to be on the internet all the time, we have an Xbox just for you. It's called 360.
Yeah.
I don't want them to do that because even when you look back at the Series S and Series X, those are now, over 400 and over 600 in some areas. So I I guess the big thing would be, and I kind of see this being part of what winds up happening. Some of that UI that allows you to access your Steam games, will probably at some point, maybe not at launch of the Helix, but at some point will probably come to the series consoles. Now, video RAM wise, that might be a little bit of a struggle for the Series S at that point, other than maybe locking it at 720, which I know people will pitch a fit about. 1080 might be a little harder unless you turn it down to like low settings or something like that. For some of the games you would access on Steam type of deal. Those devices have been tested to do so. Um, so I guess at worst case scenario, if you already have a series console, you may not need to upgrade, but considering the visuals, you may want to upgrade. But yeah, I hope this next Xbox isn't in the four-figure range. Like if they could keep it six
Yeah.
to 800. I mean, obviously the lower the better. I mean, if they could get away with 400, it would be amazing. But with reality of things and cost of stuff and inflation, yada yada, if they could keep it between six and 800, I think that will be ideal because given what the cost of stuff is, unless there's an extreme reversal between now and 2028 or 2030, PS6 is probably going to be in that same ballpark
Oh yeah.
price wise, even if it's not even at the same power point, or even if it's slightly improved because they overclocked it or whatever. Um, it's going to be above $600. I mean, look at what the Pro is today, and in some areas
Yeah.
the standard, if you get a disk drive, winds up being up there as well. So
Yeah.
it's tough to say, but
There's a difference between $700-800 than there is $1,100-1,200. You know what I mean?
yes.
And being able to, okay, I think we can all anticipate the minimum of getting into next gen with the way the current prices are for actual good machines is is probably $700 or $800, right? I mean, that's like I think the best we could like hope for, like for a more
Yeah.
powerful true next gen device. You know, I mean that's I think the Series X right now is 600, or is it 650?
I think it's 602 terabyte is the one that
It's like
goes up to almost 700 or something, I think.
yeah, 750 to 800 or something like so I mean we're talking about not too much more than what they're already selling. We haven't seen price drops like we usually do. We've seen price increases, you know. So it's a different world, and I think for the best we could hope for is $700-800, like just minimum, and probably closer to eight. Really, if being honest. But like when you're doing your presentation, your like showcase thing, and you go up there, I don't think you stand up on that stage and announce the price. If it's like I think those days are done. You know, like I don't think PlayStation's gonna stand up on stage and say for $7.99 and expect people to clap. You know, nobody's happy about the amount we have to pay for these things now. Nobody is. You know, I think we'll get these announcements and you'll have the prices kind of dropped later, kind of like what happened with the Xbox ROG Ally,
Mhm.
and uh, and it's just gonna be it is what it is. You know what I mean? So I am curious how much it'll be and the comparison, like in the console space, if they can't get down to the three digits fuzz,
Mhm.
and then the PS6 is in the three digits, like as a console, you know, you're talking about a hard um, pill for people to swallow. I think that are just console enthusiasts to
Yeah.
cross that gap. You know, even though it might be justified because playability, accessibility, maybe power, all those other kind of things. The difference between 11 $1,200 is a lot different than 7 800. You know, so we'll see how much they all are. I mean, this is all speculation right now. We have no fucking clue, right? Um, but I imagine just with the type of device that it is, it'll be more than we're used to paying for sure. at a next gen launch. So, how much is the PS5 Pro right now? Is it 699?
Yeah, I think it's at the 700. So even with a trade in, you're still talking about a couple of hundred.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'll probably be what 2028, 2029 before we see a PS6, I think.
See, that's the thing. It's so weird because if they're abandoning supposedly PC when it comes to single player games, they're not even interested in doing a hybrid, next gen. I honestly think it winds up being 2028 to 2030 range, somewhere in
Yeah.
between. They seem like they're more willing to let this PS5 generation play out to see if it can outdo the numbers of units for the PS4. And they're pretty close as far as I think they're edged out a little bit in comparison by this point in the life cycle, but they're going to want to hit that 140, 150, 170 if they can to
Mm-hmm.
at least knock the PS2 out of the history books kind of thing.
Yeah, Poison says it's over 1K for sure. The Xbox ROG is 1K as a handheld. Um, yeah, I wouldn't compare pricing on a handheld though necessarily to pricing on an actual box console. Handhelds are generally more expensive for the power. Like ROG Ally, Xbox ROG Ally is awesome for a handheld. You know, way better than the Switch and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't hold like a candle to the power and performance even of like a Series X or the like a PC for the same price. You know what I mean? Like if you get a $1,000 PC right now, like you're getting a lot better performance than a handheld. You know, so the cost of having something small is very high.
Yeah.
Um, and
Plus, when you're
yeah,
portable, you can't have the same power output to,
yeah.
pull those types of graphics that you would see. Having that constant plugged into the wall, although you can plug a handheld into the wall, but it's still not going to be on the same par as something that's dedicated to be plugged into the wall.
Mm-hmm. I mean, people can look at the Switch 2 like the Switch 2 is less than the other things. Well, it's also very underpowered. Like this,
Is PS4 Pro
yeah.
level, as they say, with DLSS, which kind of is the only thing really helping it.
Like seeing some of the like last generation games finally being ported to Switch 2. When we do like tidbits and stuff, sometimes you'll have one on there, and it'll have the footage
Mhm.
of it. Like, my God, this looks 10 times worse than it did at launch last gen. You
Yeah.
know, and it's just because it's a underpowered handheld, and it's still like $450. You know, but and they're making a profit on it. I'm sure, you know, decent
Oh
profit.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I could imagine like something that had the same performance of like an Xbox ROG Ally being like a bigger box type device would be significantly cheaper, right?
Yeah.
Um, now I think Steam is kind of hit the a sweet spot with the Steam Deck. Even it's not the best, but they hit a sweet spot as far as like price to power ratio for a handheld PC like device, and I think that kind of helps the market there because it's not overly expensive and it has good performance. I way better than in my opinion, a Switch too. Um, so you know, if I had to choose between one and it could only on one device, I'd own the Steam Deck over a Switch. Um, ROG Ally way better than both, 100%. But you're paying for it, you know. But
Yeah.
still doesn't touch the power of like current gen consoles and PC in decent PCs, right? So like overall, yeah, I think it's possible it depends on how much Xbox in that return to console feeling is willing to eat on the sell of these first party devices. Are they done with that? Are they going to be able to convince Xbox for them to subsidize it, especially also with allowing other storefronts on it? You know what I mean? Because that's part of
Yeah.
the model of subsidizing the console is, well, people are using your storefront, so you make up for it, right? But if you do allow other storefronts, is that less likely for you to subsidize it? Because how many users may buy this for Steam? Because it'll be, hey, the Steam users will say, well, okay, I can get this and play Steam, but I can also play my console games, right? I can play all my Xbox games. I can do the whole Game Pass thing and all that, which is something that you would be able to do on the Steam machine, but it's a lot more tricky to get there. A lot simpler to do on an Xbox device that allows you to play Steam. So, um, it'll be interesting, man. Do you think Xbox and Microsoft will subsidize the console, or do you think they will sell it
That's
at a
a
profit at
that's a
launch?
really tough one. Like I'm hoping they still subsidize. Now, the thing that I think kind of kills that, and why Amy Hood is probably going to be the voice of reason to some extent,
Yeah.
is because the Series S was subsidized to a point where it's even, I wouldn't say it's like 50% off, but it's almost like you're getting 50% off on a Series S. Now, not so much now, it's probably more like 30% off. But it was at a deep discount compared to what they're paying, even with mass production stuff. Like it honestly, from a mass production standpoint, there's probably something like a five, or at least when they were originally made, about a $5 to $10 difference between the Series S and the Series X. Series S heavily subsidized, Series X a lot less subsidized. So put those prices in perspective. If this next box is subsidized like the Series X, maybe that's where we get our 800. I'm hoping. If it's subsidized like the Series S, we could see 600 or lower. Um, but I just have my doubts that they'll do it. And unless Asha can actively convince Amy Hood and Satya that, hey, with us going back to console, if we do this, this, and this, and price it at this, we'll sell as many as those other guys over there because the price point they won't be able to match. Maybe that's part of Matt Booty whispering in people's ears to spend them out of business kind of thing. Um, take that loss, knowing that if you get somebody to subscribe to Game Pass for a year, you kind of get some of that back. You get somebody to buy like 3 to 5 games, you get some of that money back. And if you're with as many studios as they have and as many games they put out in a year, I think they could make that argument to get it to work, but man, that's definitely running on thin margins, which I don't think Amy would be too happy with. So Asha's got to do a lot of convincing, I think, if we see a subsidy on this next box. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
It'll be interesting. I mean, that's the model that's been in existence for PlayStation, Xbox for ever since the start, and this is like a turning point right now. And you know, I I don't know how it's going to play out with that. So all of these things like matter with the whole return to Xbox and like put the console at the core. And that's why I'm bringing it up because like this is a hybrid device where it's a console, but the added capabilities it's going to have might potentially bring in extra cost, to manufacture and produce, um, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't cost them any more than a traditional console to make. I don't know. I mean, it's the same kind of components, right? It'll have the
Yeah.
Magnus chip in it. It'll have, your, power supply, your, all the shit that you have now. It'll have your cooling stuff. You'll have a fan in it. Like I don't know how much it costs. I don't know if it's gonna have a disk drive. Um, that's a big
You
question.
know, and I'm probably going to anger some people in the chat. I'm amazed that physical media has held on this long. Yes, you can get a much better deal in pricing as far as the games, especially when they go to GameStop with them being used, or even in comparison, like a digital game goes on sale maybe at certain points of the year and it's 20, 30% off until it's like 5 years old. That physical copy is more than likely 50% off within that same time period. So I'd be surprised if it has a built-in drive. I think it would be something that you'd have to buy an accessory for your older disc drive bound game. So if you have a backwards compatible Xbox game or Xbox One or 360 game that's on disc, you're going to have to buy that drive that will probably be anywhere from $50 to $100 kind of thing, depending on what they do. But yeah, I surprised physical media is still around. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I really wish people would start focusing on digital rights and ownership and the ability to sell or trade your digital games. Like instead of fighting the good fight on the battle we've already lost with physical, because most of them are just licenses to download the game from the internet anyway. I think we should switch gears and focus on, hey, I want to own these games. So if I pass or if I decide to sell everything, I can trade it and not have to, lose value from that without having to, completely abandon my gamer tag. A game from 2 years ago digitally that I bought, I should be able to sell to somebody or trade in,
Mm-hmm.
even though it'd probably be pennies on the dollar with GameStop, but still, it feels like that should be the argument that we should be talking
Well, it's
about when it
almost
comes
like
to
somebody had
media.
an idea for this back in about 13 years ago and was going to implement it for their next gen, and then everybody freaked out because of an internet connection requirement. It's almost like somebody had a solution that they were working on. Fuzz, huh?
Mhm.
It's interesting.
TV, TV, TV.
I wonder whatever happened to that. I wonder what happened to that. Man, it sounds nice now, right? It
Yeah.
sounds nice now.
Everybody wanted to pile on Xbox One for the TV, 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 and the always online DRM, but it's almost like, can you name a game that doesn't have online DRM that came out this year or last year? Like, I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean, I no nothing personally against anybody that's for physical media, but it's time to put the fight into owning the digital stuff. I mean, I know it's an uphill battle and we probably won't win, but at least
yeah.
we can try.
That should be one of the number one things that consumers are fighting for change. 100%. Because they're all working us into that ecosystem. And what they'd probably do is even focus more on subscription services, Fuzz, and then start making everything exclusive to sub services across the board. So that way, they just work it that way. I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I did see something that was interesting. I saw a random article. I forget. I think it was like L.A. Times or something, and it was about like Gen Z and them embracing physical media, like bringing it back to where they're like, and I don't know what scale this is. You know what I mean? But it was like did some quotes from like different people they talk to, that they like owning physical stuff. They like going to the physical stores and shopping around for that stuff. I know that with music, it's definitely happened. Like it's caught on a trend now where all the younger kids and stuff, teenagers, they're wanting to own record players, collect albums, CDs, all this kind of stuff, which is fucking cool. Like one of the things we got for Christmas for my daughter was because we'd had like one of those suitcase record players, you know, but then she was like, I don't want to use it because I heard that it can damage my albums over time because like the albums lean over the edges over time, so they can. So like, she actually starts to care about that stuff. So I was like, okay, so what we got her is an actual good one for Christmas with some like speakers, and now she's like just plays albums, bro. Like in her room, like instead of just using Spotify or whatever, she'll go out there and put an album on a record player. And a lot of kids are doing this stuff, but that interview actually talked about like kids going into rental shops and renting movies and stuff. And I was like, it's interesting because like there's still something there. If kids are doing it, then it's still because they grew up in an age where like you don't need to. You know what I mean? Like it's just everything is accessible all the time, right? So if they're starting to do that, then there's still something there. You know what I mean? To maintain it. The difference is with video games is it hasn't been in existence with PC gaming for a very long time, and it hasn't hurt whatsoever. Um, and the other thing is um, the limitations I think that happen from physical media on gaming, like the discs are not big enough to hold some of the games. So you still have to install the game if you put a disc in. You know what I mean? So it's different than like an album or a movie. So we'll see what happens. I don't think too many people are. I remember Phil talking in an interview before also that there's not even that many manufacturers that make disc players anymore. Um,
Yeah.
so when they get like one of the hurdles for doing like a Series X or that has a disc drive in it, it's like more expensive than it would have used to be just because there's less people making them. You know, so those that kind of stuff plays a factor. If we get a disc drive in this next console in Helix, it will raise the price significantly. I think at least $50.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
$50. Probably more. So, but there's the whole backwards compatibility issue there, Fuzz, because not all original Xbox games and 360 games, were on were digital. So maybe they could. I wonder if they can go back and digitize those things and like find a way to like redeem, not like have to send it in, but like or just like release them for fucking free in digital format or something as like part of the subscription service or something. You know,
Yeah.
Mr. Waffle says you can't cut out people that have a physical collection. Nintendo did. Nobody gave a shit. Whenever people say this stuff all the time, whenever any of these consoles in the past changed format, you completely abandon anything that people bought before. If everybody wants to go back to like the way things were, then there's no guarantee of backwards compatibility period on the new consoles. That wasn't a thing until Xbox started doing it. Like the Wii U and Wii were, right? I mean, you had your whole DS lineup for the handhelds where you had like the DS and the 3DS and all that stuff. So you've had some. Nintendo's done it somewhat, but traditionally it's not a big console thing. Remember PlayStation, the original PS3 that came out, I think was backwards compatible, and then they removed it with newer iterations. So the original like 60 gig PS3 was actually worth more now than the later models came out because it had a capability that the later models didn't have to play PS2 games. Um, I thinking that's how it worked. I'm trying to remember exactly, right? Um,
Yeah.
when Nintendo went from the Wii to Wii U to the Switch, they your digital library didn't even carry over.
You had to
Nobody
rebuy it.
nobody gave a shit. Nobody said anything. Nobody said a damn thing. So you can't play PS3. You can't put a PS. You can't play PS3 disc in a PS5. I'm pretty sure, right? Like it's only PS4 and PS5 disc. So this is something that's been so if they don't put a disc drive in it, keep your Series X. Now I'm not asking for Asha Sharma to say if you want physical, we have a console for you, the Xbox Series X. I'll say it now, but I don't want them to say that because that'll go really bad. that'll go really that'll go really bad. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's interesting the expectation now for that. And these are the kind of things that are going to have to battle. You know, do you? So anybody in the chat, like, do you? Actually, I'm curious on this too. So we got this other poll. Should they, if the official name be Helix? 55% yes, 45% no. So the community is torn. I wonder what the other name would be. I'm gonna start another poll just because I'm curious what y'all's thought process is here. Do you expect Helix to have a disk drive? I will tell you right now, I do not expect it to.
I think it may be an option, like an accessory, kind of like the way PlayStation revamped their PS5. But I don't think it'll have one internally.
You're right. Damn good 7525 says, "You're kidding, right? Was that special occasion?" Oh yeah. So somebody in the chat had asked about. Said somebody had a video about um, PCs building PCs right now, and they couldn't build a PC for $1,700 that played games on high settings. It was like medium to low settings. They couldn't build one for 1650. So yeah, I'll just be honest here. It's not just one, but I got two. At Christmas time, we got my daughter and my wife. Um, I got my wife a yeah, it's a HP Omen. It's a pre-built from Best Buy. It was on sale for like $300 around Black Friday. Right? It was $400 off, something like that. But if you check BestBuy.com or other websites like Micro Center has their power spec ones and stuff like that. They have these kind of sales all the time. But this PC it's a 5070 with 32 gigabytes of RAM. I can't remember the specific CPU on it, but it was a good newer CPU on it. Also, it wasn't like the top of the line or anything like that. But it was $1,300. I got my daughter like a similar level, different brand, but it was also 5070, 32 gigabytes of RAM. Um, and it was a different brand, but it's the same price, $1,300. Both of those around Christmas time. And they're set up now. Like it is more expensive to build a PC right now than it is to buy a pre-built. So if you go with, I think hers is maybe a CyberPower. No, it's an Acer Nitro. Hers is a Acer Nitro is what my daughter's is. Same thing, Best Buy. It was on sale that week instead of the week I got my wife's, and it was like $1,300, and it can play all the games on high, great graphics, 50, 70, 32 gigabytes of RAM and stuff. Like, I know the prices are going up, but yeah, I'm not. It's not used parts. It's not, um, you know, uh, shitty things and stuff. Like, so yeah, I did good. Right now, 50, 70, 32 gig, 32s, 1800 to 2200. Got mad lucky. Shop for the sales, man. You got shop for the sales. Right now is probably not the best time for great sales on PC parts or PCs at all. You know, but this Black Friday, you'll probably be able to find pre-builds around that are decent. I would think. So just keep your eyes open. Check Micro Center also, because
Yeah.
one I was going to get and I missed out on because it kept selling out. Especially check them on like around Black Friday later this year if you're looking for a PC. Go to Micro Center. They do sell them online. They have a series of their own pre-builts because they build them themselves. They're called Power Specs, and they have great specifications on them. They build them with good parts, and they were for price to power and components. They were about as good, if not better, than anything else out there. Right. Um, the only thing is they only had a certain amount and they kept selling out. So I couldn't get it. Like I was ready to pull the trigger, I couldn't get it. So we ended up going with a different one that I found online. But yeah, just keep looking around. You'll find it, man. They're out there. Just don't get one of those like Amazon ones that is like something you've never heard of before. Those definitely exist. Luis Jose says, "Just see my question. I can retype it again if you didn't see it. Let me scroll up." Um, Odds. What percentage do you give on a disk drive, Fuzz? Yes, if they put it on there, what percentage faith do you have that they'll put a disk drive? 0,
Ooh,
10%?
I would say less than 30%.
Yeah,
Like there is a chance, but I mean, look at the current lineup. They still have a disk drive in that Galaxy one, which is at a premium price right now. Um, the digital only and the Series S, even though they've gone up in price, are the more reasonably priced deals. So maybe they do two SKUs, like somebody was mentioning in the chat. But instead of it being, a lower power and a higher power, maybe it's with drive, without drive kind of thing. Um, and that, I mean, technically it shouldn't be anything more than a $50 price point difference, but it could be 100 price point difference. Um, I remember looking at what HD Blu-rays were in bulk, and they were
yeah,
something like $23 or something. But that's if you're buying like tens of thousands. Like
yeah.
that $23, you'd probably the average person might have to spend 28 to $32 or something like that. But with them buying tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or millions, yeah, they would be able to get it for a much lower price. But yeah, I'm more than 66% confident that it won't.
Hmm. I tend to agree, and I like Cybergunner in the chat says it'll be optional, like the PS5. Like they'll probably maybe have like a add-on disk drive that you can get for like 50 to $100. You know,
Yeah,
and then they'll sell
that makes
that.
the most sense.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. That way you can keep the main costs down for people that don't care about it, and then for the people that want it, you have it. It gives you extra feature for your old games that have disc. But I do think doing that limits. I mean, basically, we won't see any Xbox games come out on disc again, except for rare limited run type situations. You know, um, it'll just be digital. All right. So Luis Jose had a question for us, Fuzzy, and I found it. It says, "Question for us, and he's seen this on discussion specifically on defining Duke regarding Game Pass, since they were talking
Mhm.
about potential of removing it, despite it being one of the good few things for Xbox. So there's I have seen this. I've seen a lot of discussion on will they remove Game Pass, um, because business wise they see it as a detriment to, or whatever is what some people are thinking. Um, so do you want to answer this first?
I don't see them removing it. I think if they do, it might be a tremendous mistake. I think the problem that they've faced compared to the early days when, they would have the analytics showing that people played more games and bought more games being subscribed into it. They've killed that to some extent by not giving the same discount that they used to when you're subscribed. Like, first of all, raising it to $30 a month was, for a lot of people, I think, a non-starter anymore. There's a lot of us that, may have subbed for all the way through 28 or what have you type of deal, and there's a few of us out there that are willing to pay the 30, but there's a nice chunk that weren't willing to pay the 30 and either downgraded or stopped altogether. But once you get into that price point and then you take away the discount on games that you purchase, like, they used to be like the standard, I think 15%. If it was in Game Pass, day one, you were saving 15% on the game. If you decide to buy it, you got that discount. And then I think at 30 days, it went to 20 or 20, 23% or some odd number kind of deal. You got even a bigger discount after 30 days of it being in Game Pass. And then you would have a lot of the games that it would look at what you're playing and recommend similar games that are either in Game Pass or that are on sale, or ones that are not in Game Pass, but because you're paying that online fee mixed into Game Pass, you still got like a 5% or 10% discount. And then any EA game, because of EA Play, you got the 5% discount as well. So that stuff is still in place, but the main discount for being a Game Pass subscriber for games that are in Game Pass has been reduced. I think that hurts sales. They need to bring that back because I've definitely slowed down on games. So unless it's a play anywhere type of title, I wait for a sale, a bigger sale than the one that they're giving now with the subscribe to Game Pass. Um, that's some of the stuff they need to work on. The other thing is maybe give a better forecast more than just the week of on
Yeah.
some of the games. Because the thing that used to be the most annoying when I first signed up at Game Pass is that games that I was already going to buy, I bought them. Oh, now they're in Game Pass, and I didn't find out until they're already in Game Pass. Now, some of them, like within the day of it releasing, so that kills any pre-orders or any of the pre-order bonuses and stuff. You'll see that it's in Game Pass, but I really wish they would say, "Hey, this is the next 30 days of Game Pass." I mean, it's great that they're doing these surprises and keep bombarding us each week with new titles that they squeeze in there, but I think given a 30-day forecast, this is what's going to be in Game Pass the next 30 days. Well, if I see that's in Game Pass, well, maybe I wait until 30 days later to buy it at the discount, and then I put my money towards a different game because that's what I used to do shortly after I realized all the games I was buying would wind up in Game Pass. So it was kind of like, all right, well, this was the one I was going to buy. I was going to wait for this one. Well, let me buy this one now because that one's probably going to be in Game Pass, and it seemed to work. But now that they don't give us that like advance notice, it makes it a little bit trickier. So I don't know. They could do
Yeah.
a couple of things to make it so Game Pass stays and not be a detriment, and people still buy games, which there are a good bit of us that are subscribed to Game Pass that still buy games. It's just a matter of, I know I've reduced or adjusted which games I buy because of it, but oh, they can figure something out.
Yeah. I'll just answer. I sure fucking hope not. Like I think that if I was being honest though, I think that they will continue to manipulate it and change it, but not get rid of it. because it is recurring revenue for them, and they still have a lot of subscribers even if they did lose some, and that's a lot of money. And Xbox, Microsoft specifically loves subscription services, so they'll find a way to find the sweet spot for them that's going to be the most profitable. Not that it's not already profitable, but they'll find the spot that it's the most profitable. Um, but they'll just keep tweaking it and changing it. I think they'll need to a little bit, and I think some of the changes we've already had to Game Pass recently, with some of the moves streamlining some things, was in preparation for where they're going. And it's like each change they make is like a step to guide us somewhere. We just don't know what the final end game is for that. I hope that what they do is get rid of some of the shit that people don't care about. Like, if you wanted Fortnite Crew, you could have just subscribed to Fortnite Crew. Yeah, I mean, for people that are subbed to both, it gives you the benefit of maybe saving a little bit of money, right? But that was already its own separate subscription service. It's not giving you games, which is what people signed up to Game Pass for, right? People want games and access to games. They don't need a subscription service to a third party free to play game. You know what I mean? As one of your perks. And I'm sure that deal was, they thought it was going to be, oh my God, this is huge. Right? We got to deal with Fortnite. You know, we got to deal with Epic. Oh, we're going to get all these like Fortnite players and all these people to come on now. Like, I'll go a step further. All the deals that they made, like with like I think it was like Relic and other people for these other free to play games, to like for their like get all the characters, you know,
Oh yeah.
all the content you have for these games and stuff. I don't think a lot of the people that are really sucked into those games, that are really care about utilizing Game Pass to deliver that. I think I think some of those decisions, and because I don't know how much they cost Xbox to do those deals, but I think some of those decisions, um, while cool and while could have been big, didn't really land. You know, I don't think they really grew Game Pass too much. The only benefit that Game Pass had is like the cloud, allowing people on different devices to play those games. You know, but besides that, it's like not really much. You know, the games is what people subscribe to Game Pass for.
Yeah.
So if you stop doing some of these other deals, or you know, when the contracts run out in those things, try and get the price down, just more manageable price without this other shit, and let's just focus on it being a delivery service for games in the cloud, you
Yeah.
know, and online, if you're going to keep making people pay for online, which I think needs to go away also, because
Yeah.
it's going to be a conundrum for them. If your next console is a is a console slash PC hybrid device, why would you ever buy like the console version of an Xbox game on the Xbox? Like, you know what I mean? Like, well, let's say it's one version of Walks Across everything, because they're playing anywhere. But like, are you gonna have to pay online for online when you wouldn't have to if you just, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that is a weird kind of situation to have one box where one half you would have to pay for online to use, and then you go into this other boot mode, and then and on that side you don't have to. Like, could you imagine having the Xbox box? Oh, I can play Steam games online. I can play Xbox PC app games online. I can play Epic games online without subscription service. Oh, but go over here to the Xbox. Oh, you can't play online. And
Yeah,
sign up
they're
to the
gonna have to
game,
figure
sign up to
it out.
Game Pass to play online. I'd be like, as a new customer going into, I'd be like, what the fuck? I can play everything else, but that they got to figure that out. I think the multiplayer paywall is going away
Yeah.
next generation. Um, which is going to be interesting to figure out how they do that. This is all the reasons I think Game Pass is going to keep changing. Because I got to adjust the tiers and everything equally. When they make that announcement, they need to make a big deal about it. If when they make the announcement, hey, this is a place to play with no, you don't have to pay to play online anymore. Make a big deal about that. Because as a console, that'll be a selling point to anybody looking to buy the next generation device. You but if it's a PC, yeah, you should like it. It doesn't exist in the PC world.
Yeah.
You know, like I can go on the Xbox app on my PC and play an Xbox Play Anywhere title and play one of those games if it's online and I can play it multiplayer. But if I go and launch that, if I don't have Game Pass and I go and launch that same game on a console, you can't play online. And some of them you can't even really launch because like you launch it and then it goes into the thing being like can't connect to the servers, and it just prompts you to go and get Game Pass.
Mhm.
Like immediately at the launch of the game. So that would be a problem if they don't get that right. So that would, I mean, imagine that'd be huge, and that would put pressure on PlayStation too if they did that. I mean, even Nintendo charges for online now.
Granted, it's $20 for the year.
Yes, it is, but they still
Well,
charge
except
for
for
it,
when you do
and
the family plan and the extra stuff, then I think it's was it 50 or 90 or
yeah,
something.
yeah, it's cheap, but they still charge for it. You have
Yeah.
to pay for it. PC PC gaming, you don't have to. Um, Viso Studio says there will not be Xbox games on the new system. It will only be PC. Remember, Asha said in her earlier comments, it's for devs to create their game one time for all platforms. Right, it's just one game that works across everything. But if it works on a console and they're calling it a console, it's still a console game. This is kind of like when we have a new device like this, Fuzz, it's going to
Mhm.
cause these kind of like debates like what is this thing?
Yeah.
And what are the games that play? Because I think it depends on how you access them. And like, okay, so let's say you're playing a 360 game on it.
Mhm.
Are you playing a PC game, or are you playing a Xbox console game? A lot of those games weren't on PC, but this thing is supposed to be capable of playing those games because it's in the Xbox console storefront,
Mhm.
right? So it's like going to be a merging of the storefronts and it's a merging of the worlds, kind of, you know. So it'll be really interesting. And there's a debate going on right now, like you said earlier, Fuzz. Keeley refuses to call us a console.
I mean, I think once the Steam machine comes out and this thing comes out, I think people are going to have a hard time just referring to it as a PC gaming device. I mean, sure, the Steam machine is in the PC landscape only, but it's like a console. It's a
Yeah,
box that you could put below the TV. It's not like your typical PC or even a mini tower that you would build. It's intentionally designed to look like a console. And I'm pretty sure the Helix will be kind of the same way. And much to like what you said, if you're playing a backwards compatible game that's not available on PC on this device, then it's technically still a console. Now, The workaround that I'm envisioning that they're going to do for some of that stuff, unless the developer, adjusts the licensing rights for the device, I see them having an emulation mode. So it'll have an emulation layer that basically makes it mimic a 360 console, or makes it mimic an Xbox One console or a Series X or S console kind of thing. I think that will be their workaround for licensing. But for all those developers out there that or publishers that are fine with that Play Anywhere program, yeah, it will be basically, maybe it's PC coding, but you won't be able to really tell the difference unless you are allowed to do Nexus mods or other mods and things like that. But I'm pretty sure that might be something that you'd have to take upon yourself, like a side load, almost like what you'd have to do nowadays with like the Steam Deck or even the Ally X and so forth. If you're looking to do emulators for a Nintendo, which some people do, um, yeah, I they're going to have to cave in at some point and call it a console. I think the box is going to say console. They can pay the more than likely, if Xbox is smart, especially considering what Asha said, they'll put it on the box that it's a console that can play PC games. And then with Steam, they call it the Steam machine. People are going to refer to it as a console over time because it looks like a console. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can do your taxes on it because that always used to be an argument. Oh, can I do my tax? Can I do Excel spreadsheets? Sure, you could, but you're going to have to install it and go through the hassle of doing all that. But yeah, it's called a console that plays PC games on the box. I'm
Yeah.
going to refer to it as a console if it doesn't look like a PC where it's got like fans and either a window to see inside or come standard with a keyboard and mouse, and yeah, little box to put in front of the TV or on the TV stand. It's a console to me. Plain and
Yeah.
simple.
I mean, it doesn't really matter if the game is a PC game or an Xbox game if it's just the game and you can access it wherever. Like if you're getting the PC version, if you're getting the benefits of a console to where it makes it everything easier, right? But you get the PC version of the game to where it's giving you all of the options you get as a PC gamer, where you're getting the option to play an ultra wide format, you're getting the option to play all these different things. You're getting a better version of the game. That's not meant to be, that's not a negative thing. Now, do they have two versions? Or is it like, it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. Like, these are all the questions that I have in how this is all going to work, right? Um, it's a console, but it's also a PC. Yes, consoles have always kind of been, or at least in more so in recent years, like just like PCs, except they still gate kept the capability, right? Now they're unleashing that to where you're going to be able to access all these other kinds of games and all that other kind of stuff. So how are the games going to like be presented? When you boot it up, you know what I mean? Like, is there two options? Do you go into it? Because I imagine you're just going to boot it up. It's going to be the Xbox app. It's going to be Xbox, and then you're going to launch and you're going to buy a game and you're going to play it, right? At that point, if I'm playing on a console-like device, it shouldn't matter. With and this is like kind of still that thinking of like console versus PC. Like, we should be able to buy a game and play it fucking anywhere. As consumers, that's just what we should expect these days. But it's not the reality, and the reason is because the companies behind the devices haven't allowed us to do that. It's not because the devices aren't capable. It's not because of this or that. It doesn't make the games better. That they'll sell that to you. But that's a bunch of bullshit. Like a game being only on Xbox doesn't make that game better. A game only being on PlayStation doesn't make that game better. If that were the case, then we wouldn't have some of the most greatest games of all time and also more recent releases better than most exclusives that come out. And I'm talking about all these multiplats from all these different publishers that make games and put them everywhere. Do you music you can buy or download or whatever, and you can play it on anything that can play an MP3 file. Movies, you can if you buy a movie like on like Amazon Prime or whatever, you can play it across any device that has access to that application. It it shouldn't matter with games. Now, the quality of your experience will be dependent on the hardware that you're playing it on. And that should be a selling point of the hardware, right? But we as consumers, like, is it an Xbox? Is it a PC? What kind of game is it? Is it a console game or is it a PC game? Because I want to play console games. What does that fucking mean? It's the same fucking game. And if you actually are getting the PC version, you're getting more options that have been kept away from console gamers for the sake of them thinking we're stupid. That we don't care about options. We'll get what we get. Just saying, man. This is interesting going on between Tom Warren and Jeff Keighley. Felix, I fucking called. I got Helix in my head and then Fuzzy. And you got the damn Felix the cat as your fucking logo. So I don't know why I just called you Felix. But Jeff Keighley says Xbox has announced that Project Helix is the code name for the next generation PC-based Xbox hardware device. Again, Xbox called it a console. Keighley refuses to. Tom Warren actually came out and said PC-based Xbox hardware device. I think you mean Xbox console. And then Keighley said, "Do you consider Steam Machine a console?" Well, then Tom Warren said, "Valve calls it a PC, probably because it's designed to run PC games and not console versions. I'd imagine Microsoft is calling the next gen Xbox a console because it's designed to run Xbox console games as well as PC games." People kept going after Tom. And somebody said PCs emulate console games, just like the person in our chat was talking about emulation. Current consoles emulate backwards compatibility. This is not a new thing. The Xbox One generation, they used emulators to run the 360 games, and we're still using those same emulators on Series X to run the 360 games. We don't have enough information on how well their backwards compatibility will work for console games, so Jeff's description is the most apt for this moment. What if their next device only emulates and XS is the last game gem from them? And Tom just said simply, let's make it easier. The next gen Xbox will play the console version of GTA 6. The Steam machine won't be able to play GTA 6 until a PC version is developed. So that's the biggest disparity, the thing you can look at, and that's regarding mainly backwards compatibility, because I think it's really only where there's going to be an issue. And when I'm talking about is backwards compatibility for this gen and previous. Otherwise, I think the games will just release and you'll be able to play them on the device, right? Unless it's a PlayStation single player game. They had to make that clear 2 days before this announcement. Yeah, and it doesn't fucking matter. We're all gamers, right? Fuzzy, have you noticed, like, there's this, because I've noticed this, like animosity that has developed from console gamers and especially from the Xbox sides towards PC gamers lately?
Yeah, I don't understand why though. Like there's a lot of Xbox gamers that are, I guess, dual citizenship, if you want to call it
Right,
that,
right,
when it
yeah.
comes to console and PC. But
I like that dual citizenship.
there shouldn't be any animosity. I get it. Some of the Xbox crowd want them to back away from PC as well. I'm not one of them because I like the aspect of having a game that, has the dual entitlement. And if I decide I want to play a modded version of it, I can on my PC, or I can play the vanilla version on my console. If I want to take one of my save progress things from console and put it on PC and do some of the mods there, as opposed to paying for the mods through the mod store on Bethesda, then I can do that. That's I don't know. I think we're nipping at the wrong people, or we're fighting amongst ourselves for no reason. Xbox, yes, it's a console. Microsoft being the parent company is, the PC space as far as operating systems. They're the more dominant for personal use. Get the public use, it's a little bit different story, but yeah, for personal use, they're in the same family. They're Xbox is running a very modified version of Windows. I mean, essentially, an Xbox is a PC. The first Xbox was essentially a PC that they made into a gaming device by, cutting Windows down and going with, what they felt would be the minimum to meet or exceed what the PS2 and stuff was doing at the time. So I don't know. We don't need to fight. If anything, it should be like, hey, let's cheer on more, play anywhere titles. More play anywhere titles
Yeah.
means if the console guys ever do decide to try, PC or even one of the handhelds that are out there, they're already covered. They already got a library built up. They don't have to start over. That's the main thing I look at it for. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
I think like Duck of Death says jealousy consoles can never match the performance and versatility. They want people to have no recourse but to buy a console to play console branded games. But and my thought process with that is like, why do they care? Because I've seen this a lot since ever since, and Pong had got it too. Like when I got my PC in 2023, which I already had a PC that could play games, just not this well, right? And so I didn't play games on it that much because my Series X could play games better, you know? But when I got this PC and I started playing on it, all of a sudden start seeing these comments. Oh, like PCR, PCMR now. Nothing he says matter. He's like PCMR, PCMR, PCMR. And yeah, over the last 2 years, I've played more and more and more on PC, especially this last year, right? Um, I still have the consoles and I still play on them, right? Because they're great, easy things to have on my TV that I like to play. But like, honestly, I can't imagine going back to just playing on console now after playing on this fucking PC for the last 2 years, Fuzz, and seeing the improvements that I'm getting in the games. Like it's one thing to say, "Oh, you guys always just talk about frame rates or this," but when you're actually sitting in front of it and you have like an ultra wide monitor or something, and so you see more of the game, you have way more options to pick through. The graphics look way better, the game runs smoother, and you're getting the high frame rates and all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, I want that for all my games. I love Xbox Anywhere. It's my favorite feature that Xbox has because I can buy the game and I get to play it on my PC or on my console, and a lot of times in the cloud or whatever as well. Um, and I feel like some Xbox gamers are like, you guys ruined Xbox because you're the PC people now, and you've all abandoned ship, gone to PC. I'm still playing the fucking Xbox games in the Xbox app. Yeah, I use other storefronts and play other things too, just like I always have. I always also dabbled with PlayStation, Nintendo. You know what I mean? but it's like it's weird to have this like energy of like anti PC, right? And I kind of see where a lot of those PC guys were coming from, like because I'm talking about years ago, where they would talk about like, yeah, better frames, all of this stuff, and it's like unless they feel like you're part of the core group or something, it's like your opinion doesn't matter. You can't say what you want. Like you're just like a sellout, or you're this or that, or whatever. It's like, guys, we're all fucking playing games, and I side always with what's in the best interest of the gamer and the consumer. Right? If you go back to like any of our stuff, as I'm never just rooting for the companies to fuck us, right? And I swear, the weirdest thing is the PlayStation stuff that happened the other day, and people cheering them on with like the whole thing about taking games away from PC or all this other kind of stuff. Like the weirdest fucking thing to me that has been in this community since I started doing this shit was the celebration of getting fucked. The celebration of less options for us, higher prices for us, worse performing games for us. Fuck yeah, let's go. Why would we celebrate that shit? No, it's not clear that's what they're saying, but it's all in the name of, hey, I just want to buy a box and I want to feel proud that I bought that box because I there's it, nobody else can play those games. Nobody else. I'm part of this crowd. I'm part of the group because I bought that box. Everybody else, fuck them. They're not special like me because I bought this box. I bought it. Nobody else can get to play this shit. Me. Just me. Fuck them. PC gamers, oh, they don't get to play my same game that I bought at fucking higher graphics and better resolutions and better frame rates with just all the bells and whistles that I can't experience. Fuck them. No, they don't get to have it. I bought this box. Nobody's winning there. Except for the fucking people that make the box.
Yeah. I, I look at it from the standpoint of as someone that has all the boxes, I want things to come to PC because of mods. Like, I don't think some of these console players understand. Sometimes mods that make their way onto PC make it into the sequels of their favorite game that they don't want PC players playing because the developers see, oh, people kind of like that mode or like this mod or whatever, and then they incorporate it in the upcoming game. Or somebody like Rockstar just buys that 5M thing, so now they own the rights to it, kind of deal. Like having the PC crowd involved sometimes allows a game to live longer than it probably should. Perfect example. Like I'm looking at PlayStation and wondering why would you not put Gran Turismo 7 on PC, considering it's a sim racing game, right? Now, granted, motorsports on PC, and I've called them out on this, and I really wish that they would back away, or not back away, but focus on the community and allowing mods. Just keep the online racing, separate, but allow mod communities to make different modes and different things for it without either banning accounts or flagging the um, the actual app itself, kind of thing. Having Gran Turismo on PC, look at Assetto Corsa. I think Assetto Corsa came out in 2013. It's still one of the more popular modded racing games out there because there's a no hesi modding community. There's a drifting modding community. There's all different racing leagues, even ones that aren't in the base or even the expansion DLCs or set of course out there. So there's a lot more life in a game when you bring PC into it, especially if the developer or the publisher allows for community mods. It might sell a copy 10 years down the road because somebody saw a video with all kinds of lighting effects and HDR improvements, and they were racing through traffic in Japan doing no hesi. That's not in the base game, but you still need to buy the base game to get it. So not being on PC, I think, is a missed opportunity to some extent for longevity of a game. Now, sure, some might say, well, people will just pirate it, or they won't be interested in the new game because they'll be still stuck on the old game. No, if you look at the graphic improvements on games in a lot of cases, the next one out, people are going to flock to. So when the next set of Corsa goes from its early access to the full release, and then the mod community grabs a hold of that, you'll probably see that expand even further, more so than what the original set of Corsa was. So the PC space is well worth having on your side, as opposed to excluding them because you want to feel special about, this particular game not being over there or whatever the case may be. It's like, all right, I guess you never want to see what a game looks like from that developer on a ultra wide screen, or see what it looks like beyond 120 frames, or to see what specular lighting and God rays and ray tracing and all the other bells and whistles that PCs can produce, or be able to show you in comparison to what these consoles are. Now, the next generation console will probably be closer to current PCs, but then again, PC is always going to be two steps ahead with the hardware that's out there. Sure, it'll be at an extra cost, but PCs sometimes, I mean, considering games are made on PCs, you would think you would want that space to still have access to those games. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just feels like a disingenuous, silly argument for no other reasons. And like you said, then I wouldn't say necessarily to feel special, but it's like take your ball and go home. Like, I don't know,
I don't know
close
what
your
else.
windows,
I
pull
don't know
down the
how else to call
shades,
it though,
don't
Fez.
talk to people, and
Yeah.
just don't don't be aware that other people are enjoying that game, I guess. I don't know.
But everything comes back to the pride of ownership, right? Like from the gamer perspective, from the consumer perspective, that's the only thing that's tangible that you can point to about why somebody wouldn't want somebody else to have access to the game. Like as a like that's the it's like it's got to be a feeling, you know? Like why doesn't Sony want, if the report's true, what would be the motivation for Sony not to want to put their single player games on PC? Well, we already know from reports it hasn't been hurting their console sales. It hasn't been really damaging the brand at all or anything like that, you know. It's convenient that the report came out 2 days before this announcement. I would say it's most likely misleading information that's being used to downplay and not allow Xbox fans and Xbox and maybe even at GDC Steam users to talk about the access they're going to have to PlayStation games on the TV, you know. And they'll still do whatever they want because that's just what they do. Like they'll tell people something and then they'll just completely do opposite. But the only like benefit I could think of for PlayStation is more control over the long-term pricing of those games. Because if you do release them on PC, then you have another crowd of gamer and another kind of gamer you're being subject to meeting the demands of, or to have to cater to that market space. And if you're only focusing in on your own market space and in your own storefront, your own ecosystem, then you can go that Nintendo route and basically never discount your games. You know, like keep the price high. And if you're losing out on any potential extra revenue by growing outside of that space in those regards, I expect the prices of those games to go up even more for them to justify the cost. Because they need to see growth. These companies need to see growth. That's the bottom line fact with all these major corps and stuff. Got to have growth in order to keep investing. And if they're not getting growth from other markets, they're going to have to get growth from within. And we already heard from Shuhei Yoshida what that means. That means if you're not buying all these other different versions of their games, then prices are going to go up. So expect that. And is that a win for consumers? Imagine the world we would live in if all three companies said, you know what, we're going to go full on Nintendo. God, that would suck, dude. That would suck. But that's the world that a lot of people are asking for. Underpowered hardware across the board. Overpriced games that never go on discount because you don't have any competition whatsoever in your zone, right? And really incapable of playing anything that looks great from third parties, you know? I mean, gaming in general would just be held back significantly from where we are today. So think about those things when you ask for people to make things exclusive or blah 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 blah, because it's not a benefit to you. It is a benefit to the company potentially, depending on their strategy. Right? The Resident Evil 9, people are saying one of the best looking games of all time. Games everywhere. So anyway,
My only complaint, it's not play anywhere just yet, but
yep,
pretty much all the other REs are play
there will be
anywhere. So
eventually when they do a Game Pass deal 2 years from now. If Game Pass still exists, like some are saying it won't, we'll see. It'll be different, but it'll still be there. Fresh 2180 says, "Will Xbox prices go up?" It usually starts somewhere and then always follows suit. Yeah, the Xbox prices will go up. Last generation, I will say the PC market though will help keep it sustained longer, hopefully, because of more competition. So that's a benefit. But last generation, when the games went to $70, a lot of the games media and people out there were excusing it, saying it was necessary, all this other kind of shit, right? And PlayStation was the first platform holder to do it. PlayStation was the first one to say our games are going to be $70. So much that they had the audacity to initially try and sell Destruction All-Stars for $70. Because they had like a policy, all of our games are going to be $70. Then they switched it up. So yeah, then eventually, yeah, so then we have all the publishers end up going up, then Xbox went up too. So yeah, everything will end up going up. So then my argument's mute? No, we want to try and keep the prices down, bro. If PlayStation raises their pricing and then gamers accept it and start paying that price, that becomes the new fucking price. That's my point. I see all your shit you always talk on Twitter and all this stuff like, blah, blah, blah. Don't make good points at all, bro. Just listen. If PlayStation's first and the consumer adopts it and is accepting of it, then that becomes the price. Does that make sense? There was a couple of years where Xbox wasn't the same fucking price as PlayStation. Yes, Take-Two had the first one because I think it was NBA 2K, and then Activision had Call of Duty that was $70 as well. PlayStation, what I said, was the first platform holder if you actually listen to what the fuck I said, was the first platform holder to back the $70 price. They were the first platform holder, if you know what that means, to adopt the $70 price. And when you have a platform holder adopt it, hey, fucking free reign. We were on the record back then numerous times saying how $70 is ridiculous for fucking game. How it's unnecessary, how it was not good for gaming. Elden Ring came out, sold Elden Ring at $60, it fucking dominated. And I was like, if that can do what it's doing at 60, why do the games need to be 70? That doesn't make any damn sense. Doesn't make any damn sense. No, do you need to get
Well, the
emotional? No,
funny
you
thing is,
fucking talking bullshit all the fucking time to me, bro. I see your comments always just fucking trying to come after me with some fucking bullshit you think you know or you think you heard me say, but you fucking always hear things like, and there's a few people out there, and I'm just, it's fine. If you want to clap at me, I'm gonna fucking clap back. The fucking, some of the shit you think you hear is because you fucking have shit in your ears and you can't hear properly because it's full of PlayStation shit. You have PlayStation jizz in your ears, I think, and you can't fucking hear clearly the things that are being said that twist how, so you just twist everything how you fucking want to hear it. There's a few fucking people that like there's one motherfucker that'll be like, I can't wait to see this channel die, blah 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 blah. Like he says that shit all the time. Fuck him. I don't give a fuck about what he says. I don't give a fuck about what you say. But I will start to fucking come back at you guys that always talk this fucking bullshit. I have weak arguments, bro. I don't think so. I don't think so because I just clearly answered each one of your questions specifically with a clear answer, and you have no retort. You have nothing to say. You have nothing to say. Except you're weak. You have, because you're fucking bullshit, bro. Get the fucking PlayStation jizz out of your ears, man. I know it'll take a while to go get a fucking Q-tip or something. Go get some alcohol. So something. Say, just fucking get that shit out, bro. Get that shit out because you can't fucking hear, man. You can't fucking hear. Anyway, moving on. All right. What did Luis Jose say? Remember to be respectful and have civil about discussions. I say this is Mavis ranting. Yeah, so sometimes it's good to have fun with these fucking idiots, bro. It is.
well, the funny thing is, Sony was the ones that actually wanted 80, and it was Take Two that told them that is
Yeah,
ridiculous. It will kill the industry, and talked them off that $80 ledge.
right.
Unfortunately, for whatever reason, Xbox decided they were going to try the $80 ledge. Um, but in any event, yeah, Take Two went 70, EA went 70, and Sony, like you said, as a platform went 70.
When the
Xbox
platform
stayed 60
holder,
for the
it
longest
means a
time.
lot, dude. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like, especially being the number one in the space for consoles, when you make the
they set the
decision,
precedent.
exactly, it does. You have a lot of power in that position and which way you're gonna go. Um, and everybody back then from that side was for arguing for the $70 games was saying it was necessary because of like the budgets and inflation and all these things. Games back in like in 1989 cost $90 back then. What are we talking about here today? I'm like, fuck.
And those $90 was for the cartridge because you're getting basically a small chip in the box.
Also, the market was a lot smaller as well.
Yeah.
The games didn't sell like crazy as much as they are now, and like, um, pricing is like it's like a seesaw kind of. It's like they're trying to maintain this and elevate the price and still maintain the same amount of sales. But if you raise the price, you lose sales usually, right?
Mhm.
It's just like the more expensive something gets, the less people buy of it because it becomes more expensive to obtain. If you make something cheaper, sometimes you might, get more sales because it becomes easier to obtain. It's just simple. It's a simple way of thinking about it. Now, what's the balance? What's going to actually make the company the most money, right? This will make them the most money, but they got to keep elevating it. So if they start to lose, I'm like fucking yeah. If they start to lose on too much sales, then they go back. You know, they go back on the pricing. But it takes consumers not choosing to buy the products to actually get them to make that decision. But everybody was like, "Yay, they deserve it." Yeah,
Charge me
yeah,
more.
yeah. It's fucking stupid. Um, we're talking about two different timelines, bro. Fucking talking about Outer Worlds 2. This is like talking about years before that. Yeah, and guess what? People balked and they retracted on the
Yeah.
$80. They retracted on the $80. Guess who got away with it? Nintendo.
Based on the experience,
For
there's
fucking
no
Mario
way
Kart?
Mario Kart is worth that
For
price.
Mario Kart? Really? It's crazy, man. Anyway, we need to get into tidbits and then we will get everybody out of here. And see Fresh, you could be the
Yeah.
first. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, bro. Having fun with you. Budgets are way too high. Um,
Well, it depends on how they spend the
yeah.
money. I mean, look at somebody like Expedition 33. Was the budget too high for that?
No.
Was the budget too high for what was it, Elden Ring?
Yeah, maybe they need to figure out how to make the games cheaper. Yeah, see they go with it. Oh my god. You go with that bullshit. Omi Tony says the digital platform division just seems too large now for players to really switch. So Xbox going everywhere still makes sense. Who knows what Asha will do, but I don't see them changing much. We'll see. You know, I posted that question. I said on Twitter is like, hey, if this is true and this is what PlayStation is doing, it'll be interesting to see if there's any kind of change or with the decision making with Xbox. And Asha, your move. You know, what is she gonna do? Is it gonna be the same? Are they gonna They're gonna change? You know, I don't know. You know, we'll see. I know a lot of people are excited today with Project Helix announcement, so that's good. I like the simple, clear message delivery on that. So we'll get to hopefully learn more this coming week about some of those questions that we've had, Fuzzy.
Yeah.
All right, this week's tidbits brought to you by Fuzzy Belvedere, the one and only.
Is, well, the talk of many conversations, Marathon, which releases today on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC for $39.99.
Fair price. I did play some of the Server Slam on this. I had fun with it, but not enough fun to pull me away from Arc Raiders, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I would say if Arc Raiders didn't exist, I would probably play this right now. But, you know, we just had a new expedition to Arc Raiders, and I want to just fucking dive into that. I'll probably get Marathon at some point when it's on sale and use it as, like, a game to hop into occasionally when I'm burnt out on Arc. You know? But I think
the
solid.
complete wipe. That's for me. It's a no sale with complete wipe. Like I hated that with Tarkov, and I played mainly the single player and the you know, the arena stuff. But yeah, I don't like the hard wipe.
Yeah, I get you on that. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how good Marathon does. Supposedly it's selling pretty well right now.
Yeah. This next one is Never Grace, The Witch and the Curse. Coming to PS4 and 5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch and PC today for $16.99. And this is one of those great on a handheld type of games. guess those sheep just hopped in the pot and became lamb chops.
It looks like they're going like a little bit of a Silk Song's art style, kinda.
Yeah.
Oh, more on Marathon, like I think that I enjoyed playing it the more I played it. But like I made a bad first impression the first couple of matches I was playing because like the enemies were just so easy in like the beginner level and stuff they put you in on that beginner map. Best things about Marathon is the missions, the corporation missions that you do and stuff were pretty cool. And gunplay. But overall the loot isn't as good as Ark. And the engagement with other players isn't as good.
This next one is Planet of Lana 2, Children of the Leaf. I'm in the PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Nintendo Switch and Switch 2, and PC this Thursday for $39.99 or included in Game Pass Ultimate.
Orali.
Shane says don't like Marathon's art style at all. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the like Mega Bloks look. The modular kind of design, but like it's not that as bad when you're playing it. I think it can kind of like you start to get it, I guess, but I don't know why they went that direction. I would have went a different way.
Humans and Pokemon have vanished.
All right, this one here is Pokemon Pokapia coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 this Thursday for $69.99.
They decided to build a new town.
Pokapia.
We may start skipping ahead on this one because this is like a 3-minute trailer, but we're not going to.
I think we've already seen enough. Yeah, it's Animal Crossing Pokemon.
Nestled in the grass is Bulbasaur.
I mean, even the trees and stuff look exactly like Animal Crossing's.
Must think about
Yeah.
this.
All right, this next one is a remaster. It's Poker Night at the Inventory. Coming to PS4, Nintendo Switch, and PC this Thursday for $9.99.
Why I prefer magic.
It's a Team Fortress guy.
Do you even know how to play?
Yeah.
No, not really.
I'll put it in the vault.
Very good.
Nice rags.
It's the moment you've all been waiting for.
Not bad.
I want it all.
Call him, raise him, tear his kneecaps out. Not in that order.
Whoa.
Look who's wearing the daddy pants.
Beat me once, shame on me. Beat me twice, also shame on me. Beat me 3 times, I am sent to my death.
Okay.
Don't beat yourself up, Heavyman. I don't think you'd survive.
I'm curious about that. Is it just traditional Texas Hold'em style poker in there?
I know
or-
this letter will take you by surprise. Please understand,
Oh, you're on mute,
it
Fuzz.
has not been easy to find the words.
Fuzzy, you're on mute, bro. I see your lips moving, but nothing's
in your
coming out.
desire to control everything,
Sorry.
never
It's this next one here is Portrait of a Torn, coming to PS5 this Thursday for $9.99.
Of a young woman in love. In September, the man whose name you never wanted to know fell ill. Overnight, I found myself alone, with no means to survive. That is why, Mother, I beg for your forgiveness and ask you to let me return home, where at least I will have a roof over my head. I have a very good reason for seeking your forgiveness. If you
This game
accept
seems
me,
depressing as
you will
fuck.
understand. With all respect, Hope.
Portrait of a Torn.
Mhm.
Looked interesting.
Right, this next one is a sequel, Slay the Spire 2, in early access on PC this Thursday for $24.99.
I'm pretty sure I played Slay the Spire.
Mm-hmm. I could have sworn Slay the Spire, the first one was more of like a turn-based type thing, so... Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I don't think they went full on.
Kind of like Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah. I don't mean to numbers war, but I think this came out on Steam today too, and this had a larger player base than
Beavers
Marathon.
have tails.
Slay the Spire?
That means anything. Yeah.
Oh wow.
It was like 120 something to 80. All right, this one here is Timberborn, coming to PC this Thursday for $34.99.
Akin thrived, and so did the earth.
Kate made cookies.
In this barren land, it's these tales
Nice.
that
Jealous,
keep us
was?
going.
Yeah.
But no matter where we go,
Now I want to
or
want
we
cookies,
find
and I
ruins,
we're just shopping. I was like, I'm not buying any of the pre-made dough stuff or
Mhm.
you know, bag. Well, I
this
do have
world
cookies here. I have
is a
my
dangerous
Roma
place.
Dunes. Then I got to go get my coffee. The fresh baked cookies are always so much better.
We
Mhm.
survive by
Nice, made
sticking
some
together.
M&M chocolate chip cookies.
Hope for the best,
Nice.
but no, it can always get worse. Every night could be our last, and every morning brings hope.
A small spring, a patch of grass, that's all it takes.
I forgot about this poll.
With water will grow trees, with trees will shape water. Day by day, log by log.
66% of people do not expect Helix to have a disk drive.
Beavers have tails.
Yeah, I would agree with you guys. Optional after, like, you know.
An accessory.
Yeah.
All right, this next one is Lost and Found Company, coming to PC this Friday for $17.99.
Ooh, I think Kate would like this. It's like a find an object game. She said yes. She would like that.
Right. Next one is PS6 coming to PS5 and Series X and S this Friday for $25.49.
Oh, I played this on Steam last year. It's actually really cool. It's a good game. If you like these stealth tactics games, like different characters have like different abilities and stuff.
Trying to summon a demon from another dimension.
Sounds insane. And yet,
If I'm not mistaken, I remember somebody in the chat was like, and it's probably the one you were clapping back, saying, you know, I guess we're for games coming to PC, but we're not for PC games coming to console. And it's like, that's not the case. It's just,
Yeah.
more times than not, it comes down to the developer.
Yeah, and
I'm
a lot of
fine
these
with
developers are smaller,
console.
you know.
And considering the Xbox winds up being like that hybrid, they automatically come over.
Yep.
I guess you could say.
I mean, there's a lot. Like, for example, a game that I like on PC is Tempest Rising, right? Or, I mean, that'll automatically be there, available to play, you know?
Right, this is the last one. This is Mr. Sleepy Man. I'm in the PC this Tuesday for $19.99.
Another one, Fuzzy, like Tokyo Extreme Racer just came out to PlayStation, but it didn't come out to Xbox after it's been on PC already. So if it never comes out to Xbox, like, I'll still be able to play it on my Xbox, you know? No, there's no announcement of specs yet, Micah, or Shane. There's no spec talk or anything like that. They have just said three things. It will lead in performance, it will play Xbox games, and it will play PC games. That's it. But we'll learn more about it this coming week. Next week, I guess. When does GDC start, Fuzzy? Is it like Monday, I think, or?
Wait, say that again? Oh, the GDC. I think it's either Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, Jason Ronald has like a thing that he's doing. He's going to be a speaker. Remember when he was promoted to like VP of Next Gen or something like that? I can't remember what his title was. Let's see.
Yeah, he got. I think he's VP of Next Gen.
Yeah.
And he's going to be the one, I think, handling the Helix conversation.
Yeah.
Now, before they announced that, I figured he was at least going to be talking about the new UI, how they have that unified Xbox app, and what you see like the handhelds, which will likely at some point come to the series consoles and be on the next console. But yeah, if he's going to be the go-to for, you know, like they said about the power, leading in power, playing Xbox games and PC games, it's going to be an interesting watch.
Yeah, and so Jason Ronald's going to talk on Wednesday, March 11th, for an hour, 10:10 to 11:10, at the GDC event. I don't know if that's in what time zone that's in. I'm guessing Pacific time because it's in California. So that should be what, 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. here, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. here roughly.
Yeah.
And 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern, I think. Building for the future with Xbox. Building for the future with Xbox, presented by Microsoft Xbox. Jason Ronald, VP Next Generation, Microsoft Xbox. So yeah, he'll be speaking there for an hour. And this is what it says. 2026 marks the 25th anniversary of Xbox, a milestone that reflects a legacy of innovation, community, and the joy of play. From our first Xbox console to Xbox Series X and S, from Xbox Live to Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Cloud Gaming, and the recent launch of the ROG Xbox Ally, Xbox has continually evolved to meet players where they are. As we look ahead, we remain focused on empowering game creators and enabling seamless play across devices. Join us for a conversation about the vision shaping the future of Xbox and how we're building a more flexible, connected future for game creators and players everywhere. Takeaway: developers will learn how Xbox's 25-year evolution from console to cloud shapes its future platform vision, how innovations like Game Pass, cloud gaming, and Asus ROG Xbox Ally enable play across devices, and how Xbox is empowering creators with a more flexible, connected ecosystem. Intended audiences: game developers, technical leaders, and studio decision makers building for console, PC, cloud, or emerging devices who want strategic insight into Xbox's platform direction, tools, and long-term vision, especially those interested in creating seamless, connected player experiences and scaling games across a flexible, evolving ecosystem. Cool. Well, that's all the corpo stuff that they're going to be talking to developers, trying to convince them to use their tools to make games for the Xbox platform. And the new Xbox Helix or whatever is going to be a talking point there with what they're doing with it. So we'll have to wait to learn more. Obviously, we won't know much, but we had a lot of questions. Me and Fuzzy did here on this show, and I'm sure over the next, what do you say, year and a half, Fuzz, before this thing's released, maybe, or maybe 2 years. Who knows?
I'm hoping. See, I would love for it to be released this holiday, but if worst case scenario, next holiday would be ideal.
Yeah. So we got a ways to go, and we'll learn more. And then at that point, when you learn all the things you can learn, make a decision: is this for me? Is this not? Right now, nobody knows it really much, other than it will officially play Xbox and PC games. And they are also still talking, higher end hardware, talking about leading in performance. So we'll see how they make all that happen. Fuzzy, it's been real. Thank you for being here as always, bro, and doing tidbits and all that stuff. Tell everybody where they can find your rambles and rants, sir.
Oh, well, as always, love doing this podcast with you on Thursdays and discussing the news of the week and stuff, and all the stuff we got to look forward to, whether it's the games coming this week or the hardware that we'll hopefully be playing on here in the next year or so. But, and for those that want to hear my rambles and rants, like you said, just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere on pretty much all social media. You'll be able to find me, as well as on YouTube. At some point, I need to do my video for the No Hesi stuff for Horizon 6. We didn't even get to talk about it, but did you get to see the and I hate IGN, but I had to watch it because I'm looking forward to Forza Horizon 6. Did you see the first look?
No, because they play games shitty there, and I can never tell what they actually are gonna look and play like. But when they play a game and record a video of it, it's like you gave a fucking toddler a controller. And they're just like experiencing this for the first time, And it's really almost impossible to watch any videos of theirs ever to see what a game is actually going to look and play like, unless it's a quick time event game or cinematic thing with just cutscenes. They suck at gaming in general, at every phase, talking about it, writing about it, reviewing it, and also most definitely playing it.
The driving wasn't as spirited as I would hope. They
Yeah.
had a Celine that they were driving at like 3/4 throttle instead of full throttle, so there was that. I guess they
Probably
didn't
'cause
want
they
to
couldn't
be running off the road and stuff
Yeah.
all because they, like you said, they don't know how to play.
Mm-hmm.
But we did get to see a good bit of two or three different highway locations, so and some of the city. I don't think we really went deep into the downtown. We kind of went around the outskirts and through a couple areas. It's everything I kind of dreamed it would be.
Yeah.
The highway racing is going to be intense, and I'm hoping they have the ability to do a no hesi mode. I know some people were up in arms about the traffic. I looked at
Oh,
it
was
as
that IGN's gameplay that Still commented on? Still made a comment
yeah,
asking about like where's the traffic, for the highways and stuff. So I saw that little like short like 10 seconds and I was like, yeah, well, there's no traffic on the highways. But
yeah. I figured because it's early access that they're giving them, they played the online mode instead of the Horizon solo. I'm not worried about traffic. If you look at playing Horizon solo in pretty much any of the last 2 or 3 Horizons, you'll see a lot more traffic. Now, it may not be the amount of traffic that people would hope for, but you'll see a good bit more where the streets will look busier and stuff. But I'm hoping they have it where we can adjust it, or this would be the perfect opportunity to open up to the modding community so we can adjust the traffic amount because I want to make it almost like rush hour traffic and I'm dipping and dodging in and out of traffic. Leave it to me to play that on Horizon solo. Or have it where I can do like direct invites for my convoy if I want to race with a group of friends kind of thing. So we'll see.
I'm sure it'll be great.
I'm pretty stoked for it, so can't wait to see more.
Yeah, we got to see it. I forget what was the May something, right?
Yeah, May 15th if you have the early access, or May 19th if you have just the standard edition.
Definitely be giving it a go then. Love Forza Horizon. So, well, everybody, it's been real. Thank you all. Be back. Maybe we'll see what happens if I can do some other streams this next week. I definitely will. I'll try and let y'all know ahead of time. If not, we'll see you Thursday on FSP on next week, and maybe we'll have more to talk about because of GDC. And we'll be talking Xbox Helix now for a while. Yeah, you'll hear Helix probably for fucking until it gets named something else. Until it gets named something else. Have a good one, everybody. Take it easy. Bye bye.